In the late 1990s, Nissan was broke, like sleeping on a futon and eating ramen broke. Their lineup was boring, their sales were tanking, and they needed a hit in America. So they did what any struggling car company would do. Built a cheap boxy SUV with a goofy roof bump, built-in first aid kit, and marketing that screamed, "Extreme sports, bro." This is the history of the Nissan Xterra, the SUV that tried to make a triathlon cool and almost pulled it off. Welcome back to Auto Chatter, where facts, opinion, and speculation will be given. Leave a like and comment, please, if you enjoyed it, and let us begin. Like I just mentioned, Nissan in the mid-90s was in trouble. Toyota was selling Camrys like pancakes at IHOP. Honda was printing money with Civics and Accords, and Nissan was offering the Sentra. Their trucks were solid but not exciting. The all-new Frontier for 98 was still lacking a V6 available that went away after 95. Wanted a four-wheel drive one? A manual was the only option, and for many Americans that was a deal breaker. Pathfinder had grown into more of a family SUV, leaving room for something smaller and scrappier. Nissan's US design team pitched a lifestyle SUV, cheap to build, rugged, and aimed at Gen X. Like me, and coincidentally, I had an 01 SE four-wheel drive with a stick. The story I read was Nissan North America pitched the idea adopting the new 98 Frontier regular cab as the base for it to Nissan Japan. They were initially shot down due to Nissan's financial issues, but people like their lead guy for Nissan Design International, Jerry Hirschberg, decided to slap something together anyway. Better to ask for forgiveness later, I guess. A V6 option was returning to the Frontier for $99, so add some styling changes, give the truck a permanent camper shell, tackle some interior snafus, and bam, lifestyle SUV. Overall, it was a doable project that could be designed and constructed on a budget. Gen X had a shot of buying more of what a 4Runner or Suzu Trooper was in the 80s. A no-nonsense, capable, and affordable SUV, like Jeep had done with the XJ Cherokee for years. Basically, Nissan wanted to sell a truck to people who owned 2 mountain bikes, 3 designer water bottles, and exactly 1 career plan: barista. Anyway, the name used would be Xterra, which is a triathlon event consisting of open water swimming, mountain biking, and a long run on foot. Not really a spoiler alert, but Nissan would go on to sponsor the event. Didn't see that coming, huh? Anyway, specs and tech stuff for the first generation. The platform was the Frontier Pickup's body-on-frame chassis. Engines was a 2.4-liter KA4 as the base, with 143 horsepower and 154 pounds of torque. Optional was a 3.3-liter V6 with 170 horsepower and 200 pounds of torque. Transmissions was 5-speed manual for the 4-cylinder only, or 4-speed automatic available with the V6 along with a 5-speed. Suspension was a torsion bar IFS front, solid rear axle with leaf springs in the rear. 4-wheel drive part-time system with a 2-speed transfer case. Towing was 5,000 pounds with the V6 and an automatic, 3,500 otherwise. Curb weight 3,700 to 4,100 pounds. Ground clearance about 8.3 inches. The roof rack basket capacity was 125 pounds, or as Nissan marketing put it, a snowboard, a tent, and 2 bad decisions. The oddity was the gear basket had to be removed if you wanted to use the optional sunroof. Another odd thing is spotting a basic Xterra without the roof rack. And that leads to some other features that made them kind of quirky. The stadium seating. Rear seats were raised, hence the weird but cool roof bump. This was born out of necessity, as the fuel tank placement on a Frontier wouldn't allow for enough headroom back there. Funny how a design workaround became a signature feature. Removable built-in first aid kit, and the bulge for it was seen even outside the truck. This was to showcase and complement the commercials that you were buying an active outdoor lifestyle vehicle. Pontiac attempted an approach like this with the Aztek too, but all the Swiss Army knife features inside the Pontiac couldn't hide the fact you were essentially buying a minivan beat with an ugly stick of forced coolness. plastic interior panels in the Xterra were designed to take a bit of a beating, and the tagline was, "Everything you need, nothing you don't." Want leather power seats and auto climate control? The Pathfinders are in the next row over on the lot. The rear door handles were upturned, giving it a two-door look, a feature the Pathfinder started originally, and other models from Nissan would get it later. They were also available in solar yellow if you wanted to make finding it in a parking lot easier or reenact your favorite Baywatch scenes. It was affordable with the MSRP starting about $17,700 new in 2000, which is about $32,000 in 2025. Two trims at launch, XE and SE. SE came pretty loaded, including a V6, upgraded seats, white-face gauges, and sunroof. Major options left would be an automatic and four-wheel drive. XEs range from four-cylinder manual transmission Spartan to near SE levels of equipment if you added all the option packages. Some of the competitors included at the time the Toyota 4Runner. It had more power, more serious off-road cred, and you paid more for the privilege. The Jeep Cherokee. Priced competitively to the Xterra, it was old at that point, but still tough. Ford Escape was a soft crossover that made the Xterra look like a tank. And the aforementioned Pontiac Aztek is technically a competitor, but with off-road ability on par with the Escape. It's iconically cool today, probably because of Breaking Bad. The sales for the first gens as follows. For 2000, they sold 88,578 of them. TRL was king at the time, and Xterra was the Carson Daly of SUVs. Rugged but oddly clean cut. Nissan finally had a vehicle in the showroom that was demanding MSRP, or even more. For 2001, they sold 86,991 of them. Everyone was downloading music illegally on Napster, while Nissan advertised to real adventurers. For 2002, it was 88,578. The front end got a facelift, dash was changed, and the hood is bulged up a bit to allow for an optional supercharged V6 with 210 horsepower. You could finally pass a Civic Si, assuming the Civic driver was asleep. It got the vehicle up to par with some rivals horsepower-wise, but the premium fuel requirement made this thirsty boy even more expensive to drive. The old VG V6 engine was showing its age. A high-powered Rockford Fosgate audio system was now optional, so playing Hot in Here by Nelly got louder. For 2003, 73,580 were sold. Also that year, Finding Nemo came out, so everyone was buying clownfish and bringing them home in their SUVs. 2004, 66,576 sell. The Xterra started looking dated, and this would be the final year for this gen. Still, the sales numbers were good for Nissan, so you just know there had to be a sequel. And that started for the 2005 model year. The platform was the new, at the time, Nissan F Alpha chassis, which was the same as the Frontier, Pathfinder, Titan, and Armada. Basically, from a mechanical standpoint, the new Xterra was kind of a short wheelbase 05 Pathfinder with no third row seat and had a solid rear axle. But its advertising and attitude was still marketed as extreme, while the Pathfinder chased after Ford Explorer buyers or 4Runner seekers on a budget. Engine was now a 4-liter VQ40DE V6 with 265 horsepower and 284 pounds of torque. The 4-cylinder was dropped and the supercharged versions were no longer necessary, as the power levels were good. Transmissions. Standard was a 6-speed manual, and that did last until 2015, unlike the Pathfinder that dropped their 5-speed availability the previous generation. A 5-speed automatic was optional on Xterra. Suspension was independent in the front and solid rear axle. Ground clearance up to 9 inches on the later Pro 4X. Towing 5,000 pounds. Fuel economy 15 to 20, worse than some full-size SUVs. Curb weight 41 to 4,300 pounds. As far as trims and features for these, started with the X, which was the base. Rear-wheel drive, 6-speed manual, Air conditioning, a CD stereo, alloy wheels, and roll-up windows. It started at $20,850, or about $34,500 today. A little more than the original in 2000, but you did get more standard stuff. Next would be the S model. It was a mid-level with the power equipment. SE came there and it was a bit fancier. The off-road, which was made from 05 to 09, had locking differentials, skid plates, Bilstein shocks. Basically, this is the one you want if you leave pavement a lot. Then there's the Pro 4X. This was made from 2010 to 2015. The hardcore off-roader to take on Toyota's TRD trims, and was basically the new off-road package. Like before, a Rockford Fosgate audio was optional, 8-inch subwoofer for blasting Lincoln Park in the wilderness. Cargo area had washable plastic floor with adjustable tie-downs. Second-gen Xterras broke the rules a bit about nothing but the basics, as things like cowhide and heated seats were options for this gen in later years. Solar yellow remains a color option to let everyone know you're not a soccer mom. As for sales numbers, for 2005, 72,838 moved out. Pretty strong launch. MySpace at the time was huge, and if your top 8 didn't include an Xterra, were you even cool? For 2006, 62,325 sell. Sales dipped some from the launch year. 2007, 64,711. The housing bubble peak. Some people financed Xterras on home equity loans, because what could go wrong? 2008 was only 33,579. Gas hits $4 a gallon and nobody wants a 16 mile per gallon SUV. Sales were halved effectively. Cue the sad trombone. For 2009, it manages to get worse. It's only 16,455. This was a facelift year, new grille and other updated features. Buyers said, cool, but we're broke. For 2010, 12,186 sell. Nissan added Bluetooth, but buyers wanted Priuses. 2011, 16,505 sell. Small rebound, but the sales numbers by this point were nothing magical. Nissan had those fairly new Rogues too in the showroom that were much better on fuel. And you're not really off-roading anyway, are you? For 2012, 18,221 sell. The best year for the 2010s for the Xterra. Maybe Gundam style hypnotized people into dealerships. 2013, 16,505 sell. Steady but low. It would seem there was only so many Xterra loyalists by this point. 2014, a little over 12,000 sell. Crossovers with USB ports were winning the battle. Nissan's reluctance to change then wasn't really helping either. 2015 would mark the final year. Nissan blamed poor fuel economy and weak sales. Buyers shrugged and said, we're buying Rogues, and to this day it's their best seller. The poor Xterra sales basically just collapsed. From nearly 90,000 in 2000 to just over 10,000 in 2015. It wasn't unsafe, but it wasn't modern either. It drank gas like a frat bro at spring break, and Nissan hadn't updated the interior since George W. Bush's first term. Heck, there was only one noticeable refresh, and that was a half-decade prior to cancellation. The last Xterra rolled off the line in 2015, probably still smelling like trail mix, wet Labrador, and regret. Nissan teased a new SUV overseas, the Xterra. Not sold in the US, but fans immediately whispered, new Xterra? The new Frontier arrived, perfect bones for a new Xterra. By 2025, rumors continue. Nissan may bring back a boxy off-road SUV to rival the Bronco and 4Runner. We may see one for 2028 with a hybrid powertrain, and that's the latest news. I know Nissan has certainly had better days, but like the first-gen Xterra, adopting the current Frontier into one shouldn't be too difficult. And I've also read that they've got an all-new Frontier coming out, new platform that this maybe Xterra might also be adopting. But the Nissan Xterra was never the fanciest, fastest, or most fuel-efficient SUV. But it had charm, it had toughness, and it had just enough weirdness to carve out a cult following. They also hold up well, and I still see first-gen ones daily putting around. It was the SUV equivalent of cargo shorts, practical, dorky, and perfect for hauling snacks. Not stylish, but admit it, you kind of miss them. Personally, I think they look pretty good, and I do miss mine, except for the fuel mileage. Rest in peace, Xterra. Or maybe see you soon, slightly electrified, with CarPlay and still ready to haul your unused mountain bike. Anyway, thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll be keeping the headlights on for you, and chatter out.